What is going on, y'all? Welcome back to 8 Cubes, the show where two identical, impossible to distinguish card gamers discuss the 8 most important topics in Marvel Snap. I'm KMBest, he's Lambie Series, and we're going to start it off with Death Fractured Frontier. She is a 5/8, and I have never cared less about what her actual stats are because the only reason I'm ever putting this card in a deck is to do something stupid with her ability, which is to bring back all of the cards that have been destroyed this game. Something stupid is going to happen with this card. I don't expect it to be particularly good, but there has to be some kind of Phoenix Force jet type way to make this card revive something, and then this card dies, and then it brings itself back or something like that. Like, I have a Kid Omega and a Fire Hair, and then I bring this back too. Something stupid is going to happen here. I don't know what that stupid thing is going to be, but there has to be something dumb I can do with this card.
I mean, there has to be something dumb that we can do with this card. I totally agree. I mean, this is just Hela for destroy, right?
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing, right? It's for destroy. So Hela was a lot easier to crack. It's really obvious. Just dump the big stuff, revive the big stuff. This one, you kind of have to destroy stuff along the way. The difference between this and Hela is like, you can discard any big card from your hand really easily. But destroy, though, destroying cards, what a lot of the good destroy cards, they come back by themselves. They don't actually die, right? So that's the thing. The
Yeah.
stuff that dies, like I kind of have a suspicion that like it's not gonna see too much like combo play until like another card is printed that like breaks this whole entire card.
But there has to be something, right? Okay.
Yeah, no, there has to be, but like
you
it's so
Kid
much
Omega,
harder to.
you play this, it revives
Yeah.
whatever. You Kid
Okay.
Omega this with a Fire Hair
Okay.
on the board. The Fire Hair
Yeah.
triggers, this is dead. You bring this back. That's like 3 rounds of this. There has to be a thing I can do that's dumb if I'm doing this 3 times.
That's not wrong. I just think the things that die compared to the, like, if we were to really compare this to Hela, right?
Yes.
Like, the things that die are a lot smaller than the things you randomly just dump to the.
I agree. It's a very poor Hela. But the question for me is,
exactly.
can it be a good Phoenix Force? I don't think it's
could be,
going to
yeah, it could
need to
be.
be a Hela. If it could just be a good Phoenix Force or a good Adamantium infusion. Like, I don't, even if this hits, right? I think it's
Yeah.
obviously like it gets shut down horrendously by Stardust. You get instantly KO'd when the card shows up. There's definitely like things you have to worry about. The weaknesses are pretty similar to Hela or Nimrod, and I'm not sure it's necessarily going to be better than Hela or Nimrod at doing the things that it does. If you want to play a combo deck that loses to Stardust, those might be better. But surely there's something that this card does. And I think my worry is like, A, there might not be anything that this card does. And B, if there is, it gets shut down really hard. But the appeal is there because it like feels like there has to be some kind of dumb thing to accomplish when you can make this happen 3 times with a Fire Hair and a Kid Omega. Like, how? I realize it's probably not winning a lot of games, but it's going to win those games by a lot. Next up, a card that's not winning a lot of games and not winning those games by a lot, Red Wolf. This should be a quick review. Red Wolf 2/1 on reveal. Gain power equal to the number of cards in your hand. Quick draw. It also will add 1 power to all the cards in your hand. The problems this card faces are twofold. The first, and I think most obvious problem with Red Wolf is he's not very strong. And that is just baseline number 1. Oh yeah, not very good. Probably could be a 2/2, probably could be a 2/3. Then it would be a much closer to on-rate card that has upside when you're doing something cool. The other thing, though, is that right now, you are not particularly incentivized to play a deck that Red Wolf wants to go in. Because what you want to be doing in this metagame, if you're playing just a points in interaction deck, is playing Thanos, right? And if you're playing Thanos Fractured Frontier, you're not going to have a lot of cards in hand. So Red Wolf isn't going to be very good, even if you quick draw him. I've seen people running him in the Thanos lists, the list playing both Thanoses. Guess what he's not in those decks? Very good. I'd rather play basically any other 2-drop in the entire game than play Red Wolf in that context, and that's the Thanos deck that is going to be able to have its hand full the most. He's at most fine, and at worst, really bad. And so you end up with a card that doesn't have a home, and wouldn't particularly be good if he did.
Yeah, it's so weird to say this though, but like, This card is a relatively small 2-drop, isn't it? Like, it's
Yep.
actually relatively small, like, way smaller than what the text is saying. Like, if you look at the text, it's actually supposed to be buffing a lot of things, but when you actually play the card, it's actually really small. Like, you don't really have that many cards in hand, especially like the thing, the quick draw, I don't even think is that significant, right? Am I wrong here? I think the quick draw isn't even really that significant.
It's not, because you're not even guaranteed to realize those gains. So it's like,
Exactly.
okay, I play this on turn 2, I quick draw it on turn 2. I've got 4 cards in hand. It's a 2/5,
You might not play
and
them
then
all, right?
maybe some additional stuff coming out off of that. And if you're trying to do special stuff like Maria Hill or Stones to draw more cards, it's like, okay, I'm still not sure I'm going to play all of those, right? Those decks care, especially because like the deck you're playing it in probably has Thanos Fractured Frontier, and your hand is where all the cards you don't play go. Like, you're playing the cards off the top of the deck anyway. He's buffing your hand. And so it's like, I don't really see this guy helping me that much. I'm not even realizing most of the gains from his quick draw. And that means that most of what he is his front side, which is bad. Here's where things are going to get a little more conceptual. And I'm going to start really pulling in Lambie and his sort of expertise from other games here. Midrange is a word that exists in other games that have a concept of aggro and control. And I think that those concepts are much more defined in a game system that has a concept of attrition, right? It's easier to have an aggro deck when you can prematurely end the game by hitting your opponent in the face. That means that we know what aggro is. When we have a control deck, it's a deck that seeks to extend the game because you have a stronger late game. These are things that are based on a sliding scale of when the game ends. Marvel Snap does not have a sliding scale of when the game ends. Marvel Snap ends on turn 6. So we don't have words like aggro and control that midrange sits in the middle of, which is something that has bothered me for a long time because I think I'm probably the person most responsible for importing this terminology from other card games. Like, it's me and it's you and it's a bunch of other people who played other card games who we didn't have a word for what this was, and so we didn't make up a new one. We brought in a word from another card game, we grafted it on, and it doesn't necessarily fit. And fundamentally, what the word midrange means here, though, is deck that plays a points package that does not go over the top most of the time. There may be some synergies, but mostly we're playing things for stats and also some interaction, not going over the top. But the interaction doesn't necessarily define midrange to me. What defines midrange is a limited ceiling. That's what defines midrange to me. It's just, I have a lot of points and that's it. I'm not combining my cards to multiply them in any way like a combo deck would do. I'm not doing these board-wide buffs like Cerebro. I'm not doing things like Zombie Galacti. Those are clearly combo decks. Midrange can only be defined by what it isn't. And that's sort of what I think of here. So I guess what I'm bringing to you here is, do you have a better word for this that we could bring in at some point?
Okay, yeah, so we were definitely guilty of this, bringing in the wrong terminology from our past card game experiences and all that, right? Because the thing you pointed out really makes a lot of sense, which is there's no aggro in this game. Like, in order for there to be like mid-range or control, there has to be an aggro side as well, right? But there's actually no aggro.
Yep.
Control can't last more than 7 turns because magic, and that's the longest you ever get. Like, so Marvel Snap actually doesn't really have aggro, which we've already established. So mid-range was something that we brought over because there was aggro, mid-range, and then control, right? In other card games. But then in this one, mid-range kind of just means playing units with an efficient rate, right? Like, you play a good 2-drop, you play a good 3-drop, you spend all your... You realize we use terminology across the last few years of Marvel Snap. We say things like, oh, we spend our mana going 4+2, 3+3.
Or we say things like mana.
Yeah, mana. Yeah, mana. Yeah, basically, we spend our energy efficiently. Right, that's basically what mid-range is in this game. You just play good units and like don't float energy because you have no combo. You just want to play cards with stats and win because you have stats, right? So that's basically mid-range in this game. But back to your question, whether I have a more appropriate term for this.
Should we make up for it
I want to
somehow?
just say something along the lines of like good stats per cost.
Sure.
But that's too long.
Like the
efficient. Okay, so Batroc is what? Batroc is an
Batroc is
efficient
mid-range.
deck.
It's
Yeah, I know,
efficient
but
by
like,
virtue of
if we
its
don't want to say
synergies, though.
mid-range, right?
Yeah.
If we don't want to say mid-range, what do we call it? We call it stats efficient deck. A stats efficient deck. I mean, like, it just doesn't roll off the tongue as well as mid-range.
I think what you do is like you'd split mid-range into 2 types of mid-range. And the first type of mid-range is like Wiccan style I am playing the most efficient things, but I have no synergies that make them more efficient. It's just like Doom 2099, Wiccan,
Mm-hmm.
just here's my stuff. I've got like maybe a Cosmic Ghost Rider in there. And then there's the other style of mid-range, which is like Victoria Hand and Batroc, these low synergy styles. And I think that like what we could do is terminology-wise, Batroc is synergistic mid-range, maybe, or just synergistic. And then we have that being different meaningfully than like because like the thing that made us call these decks mid-range is that spiritually the experience of playing them was very similar. I'm curving out. I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the mid-range thing to do. Like it felt like that. And I think
Wiccan is just a curve deck, right? Straight up, we can
like
call it a
curve
curve deck.
versus synergy.
Yeah, Batroc is more like synergistic with like good rate for stats.
Yeah, like curve rate and synergy rate. And they're two different things. Like I think people are correct to identify like, hey, it's weird that Batroc and Wiccan are the same deck. Like that's not true. And that's right. It's not true. It's not. And so we got to come up with a better terminology to talk about what that is. Unfortunately, as much as I would like to distinguish like the nuance of what mid-range is and all of it, right now, I think you can pretty safely say that Thanos is destroying that nuance. Whether you're playing efficient Wiccan stats on curve without any synergy whatsoever, you're playing Thanos Fractured Frontier. If you're playing Batroc, a very synergy-heavy kind of deck, you're playing Thanos Fractured Frontier. There are very few situations in which you want to be not playing this if your path to victory involves playing cards in Marvel Snap. Now, those situations do exist in combo decks where you're doing something specific to go over the top. But if the spectrum of like simplicity goes from Wiccan decks have very replaceable cards, Batroc decks have sometimes replaceable cards, and combo decks do not have replaceable cards, Thanos is 2/3 of that spectrum. He stops just before the combo decks. And I think that that is not an unreasonable place for a card to be, but I do think that it'll definitely cause some unfortunate feelings among people that the card is the card on the season pass, right? Like, if you're going to make this incredibly ubiquitous and powerful card, putting it on the season pass seems like it would make sense to me, but it also means that, like, what it effectively says is if you don't want to play this card, you're kind of only left with combo decks. Combo over the top of it, do combo stuff and all of that. What do you think about that kind of metagame dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Thanos right now, Fractured Frontier Thanos, of course, is it's still quite early into this cards like Lifeline, and like based on what we have right now, it's actually quite a diverse meta, don't you think? Like I know it's all Thanos. I know it's all Thanos Fractured Frontier. It's all him, but like he has like 5 decks, and they are all good. Well, I mean, there are some that are better than the other. Some are better. We can talk about this a bit more like later down, but like
No, we can talk
some
about
are
it now.
just
It's
good.
fine.
Yeah, like the mid range ones, the Batroc stuff, like the good curve rate, good on curve cards into Fractured Frontier Thanos. That build is like the consistent one that you can't really go wrong. It's just good stats one, right? And then the one that goes a bit taller, like the double Thanos ones, like the ones with the Wong and stuff
Double
like
Thanos,
that. Those are the ones that are like
Aurora. I mean, I personally think the Wong Aurora one is probably the best one, but there's a lot of options on the table here. Like you could take a lot of different things.
There's a lot of potential with this card. Like I asked you before the podcast, I was like, do you think this is Xiaolao level? You said it kind of is, and I do agree, right? Like, and it enables so many decks, but I think right now there's still no like completely dominant version of it, right? I think there's like they're all a bit more playable. They're all like kind of playable, and then there's also the issue of whereby the taller you go, it usually means you have to play more inconsistent cards. Like you play Wong stuff, you play stuff that dies more to one tech card, right? Because you go tall. In order to go tall, you need to scale multiples in terms of numbers, and like that's like a Wong, and then that dies to a Cosmo, that kind of thing. So like the Batroc one is like maybe less pure synergy. It's just like playing good cards, whereas the combo ones you have to like pair things a bit more specifically together. So there's like ups and downs to both builds, right? One goes taller but a bit more inconsistent. One like it's a bit lower to the ground, but it's like it's fine into more things. So I feel like it's fine, right? It's fine.
It's part of why I like Thanos, because I feel like that's the only one that has the potential to be able to have really like go big. with Thanos and also
Yeah, okay,
still
that
play
one
a
is
tech
interesting
card.
because drawing the stones is not a deficit in that one. You get what I mean? It's
Right. Like it's
right?
it's like I don't necessarily think anyone's figured out the build yet, but it did finish second place at the Golden Gauntlet. I was really happy to see
Yeah,
that because it
congrats,
was one of
Hannah.
the decks that I thought would like I feel like there's something there. Like I think there just is something there. I haven't gotten to it yet. I'm not there. But
Mhm.
the Wong Aurora one is pretty clearly like that's the safe number one deck. Like it's just like we know that's good. It's extremely good. You need to prepare for
Mhm,
it. That's
mhm.
the one people are going to play. You can put them in Batroc. You can do all sorts of stuff. The interesting thing for me was the dynamic I noticed during Golden Gauntlet was, and we will talk about this one later. The
Yeah.
Thanos decks that cheated a little more beat the Thanos
Mhm.
decks that didn't. And I think that that's also the
Mm.
dynamic that he has in mid-range decks, which is to say he is the equivalent of getting a little bigger to win the mid-range mirror. That's what putting
Right.
Thanos in your Batroc deck is. It's getting bigger to win the mid-range mirror. And it is costing you interaction against the combo decks, which is why all the diversity in the metagame is there. So combo decks, yeah, there are two flavors right now, really, and I think that Zap Gaze, of course, we're gonna talk about him in a second. He won the tournament with Cerebro 3 because he's really good at this game, and Scorpion Brand New Day is the one that I think was on everyone's mind. I've seen more complaints about Scorpion Brand New Day than about basically any card for a variety of reasons, most of which boil down to he is definitely the card that feels the most unfair to lose to if you do not interact with him because his numbers are going to be the biggest in the game.
Yep.
And because I think there is this perception out there amongst the wider community that they nerfed doubles and left Scorpion alone so they could sell Scorpion, which I don't think is true, but I do see people say a lot. But a major point is that Thanos, by his nature, is telling you to take interactive cards out of your deck because those interactive cards, if they need to be timed, they don't work very well with him, and you have to make
Correct.
sacrifices for that, right? So he's telling you to get a little bigger, cut some interaction to win the mid-range mirrors, get a little bigger, cut some interaction to win the mid-range mirrors. We could see the sort of end point of this with the deck that Ika played, which was just Pixie, Mobius, Thanos. 0 Juggernaut, 0 Cosmo. You play against the Nimrod, you are dead. He actually beat a Nimrod in the Swiss rounds because he randomly generated a null off of Valentina. It's like, that's
Wow.
not a reliable win con, but you can do it.
That's 8 cubes though, but yeah,
It's
that's
yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, all right, I guess you get to skate this time. You got away with it. But if it weren't for you meddling kids, I do think that, like, largely speaking, the combo decks are beating up on Thanos. And the more Thanos gets big and tries to beat other Thanos decks, the better the combo decks are going to be. Multiple Man. It's a deck absolutely nobody had any respect for. I kept putting it on my tier list because I knew it was just still good and everyone just stopped playing it for no reason. You play that deck right now, nobody's interacting with you. All you have to do is think, what happens if my Thanos opponent has a Soul Stone? And if you have 2 brain cells to rub together and play around the fact that he can blow up a guy on your side of the board, you're going to beat his ass with Multiple Men. And like, that is just one of those things where it's like, Thanos is cool. All his decks are small. Compared to a combo deck, all of his decks are small, and they need to stop you from doing it, which means you're dictating terms to them. And as long as you can do that, like, I find it hard to believe this card is overpowered. I compared it to Sholau, but it's Sholau without Maverick. It's Sholau without Scarlet Spider. It's Sholau if he had no things that comboed with him. And that's what's going on here.
Yeah, so this topic is really good to talk a little bit about why. Because I asked you a bit like, is this Thanos the same as Xiao Lao? And the biggest difference is the deck building revolving around making this Thanos good makes you drop tech cards, right? Because at the end of the day, the whole point of quick draw is that you need to play what you draw, right? And then with tech cards, you cannot hold those cards because you need to play them. And if you play them at the wrong time, just because you want to trigger the quick draw, then they're not serving their purpose, right? So the thing about like this Thanos is that it structures your deck building to the point whereby you have to play your cards that you draw for the most part. That's why the Batroc one was so efficient because you can just literally play everything that you draw, right? But the thing about that is that you cannot run tech cards, and therefore the combo decks will run you over simply because there's no floodgate. Like you're not controlling anything. They're just gonna be bigger than you because they go taller by default if they don't lose to tech cards. That's basically what the combo decks are in this game, right? So comparatively to Xiaolao, which could run tech cards and it has its own combo aspect in the Maverick, this is way more fair. Like it's more fun, it's more diverse, but this is way more fair. Xiaolao was basically doing combo and like mid range at the same time. The consistency of mid range with the power output of combo. That's what Xiaolao was doing. This isn't. I'm a Thanos enjoyer, so that's fine for me. But like, this isn't broken like Xiaolao. That's all I can say.
Just wanted to give a little bit of shout out to Golden Gauntlet World's champion Mani Davudi, aka Zap Gaze, for winning Golden Gauntlet Qualifier 3 with Cerebro 3. I actually just realized it was Qualifier 3 and Cerebro 3. That's quite cute.
Yo.
But the big thing that I always like about Cerebro 3, and this is just like a constant thing for me, is it's a combo deck that doesn't play Magic. And I know that sounds dumb, right? But I really hate relying on Magic for a bunch of different reasons. It's like a little more acceptable in certain situations, but like if I have to rely on Magic or if there's something that's actively good in the metagame, like I think a lot of the times Magic on 5 is like actively good against Thanos lists. But one of the things that you saw in the Golden Gauntlet was everyone was very aware of that. And so they were packing Scarlet Witches. They were packing Snow Guards in their TOV decks. Like everyone was like, I'm not going to get Scorpion today. And Cerebro just being a powerful output combo deck that doesn't need to rely on that gimmick, you'd be shocked how many combo decks actually do need to rely on that gimmick. Like just being a turn 6 combo deck is kind of the only thing that keeps Cerebro up there for me. It's just, oh, right, I don't need to cheat. I don't need this 7th turn. And if I get this 7th turn, I can use it well, right? I can Bastion my stuff. I can make more Cerebros. I can scale well if my opponent is going for a 7th turn. But I don't need it. They need it. And I think that that's just like a really, like, it's solid. Congratulations to Zapgaze, of course.
Yeah, congratulations to Zapgaze, man. I mean, you guys know, those of you that have watched this for a long time know that I hate the concept of Cerebro because it just like makes your deck building like you have to run a very specific set of cards. But having said that, I think I do want to say one thing good about Cerebro. It's really one of those decks. It's the same example I've used so many times about OG Silver Surfer, right? The stats are so obvious. Like, if you know that you're going to lose to a bot plus Cerebro, you have to leave. Like, Cerebro has that going for it as well. Like,
that's what makes it such a good bluff snap deck.
Exactly. It's the same thing. Like, the thing about bluff is that it's only a bluff that's worth bluffing if everyone knows what the bluff is, right?
Yes.
Like everyone knows they see a bot of all the small guys and they know that they lose to the Cerebro if it gets dropped on bot and buffs all the small guys. They know they lose to that, they leave, right? So like you said, it's really a very good bluff snap. Cerebro has a very good bluff snap potential.
I know I spend a lot of time dogging on Magic. You know, like it's a card that I understand the utility of, but consistently think that does not perform well. And this is going to mix up the last 2 topics here. I hope y'all are okay with that. My Magic topic and my GG lessons topic are kind of the same topic, or at least one of the lessons. And that lesson is, if you want to win Golden Gauntlet, stop taking Magic and stop taking Shang-Chi. Every time I check stats from Golden Gauntlet, Magic is a top 10 brought card with a 40% win rate. Every time. Yep. She has never gotten to 50. It has never happened. But I think that there is a case for being a Magic deck, specifically being a Scorpion deck right now. But I think that if you are playing Zombie Galacti in a tournament, you are locking yourself into being the 3rd best Magic deck and also being a Magic deck. And so I'll narrow down my critique here a little bit. If you're going to take a Magic deck, make sure you beat the other Magic decks at the very least, because it is totally unjustifiable to be the 2nd or 3rd best Magic deck in this space. You have to be able to at least beat the other ones in the space. You have
Can I guess what's your next point?
Yeah.
I want to guess on this. I think what you're gonna say next is, if you're a Magic deck, at least be able to win if you don't get to play Magic.
That also, I wasn't gonna say it,
fine.
But it is true, right?
Okay,
like, yeah, that is also important. She is just an astonishingly powerful card who lends herself to being misused, I think. Because you see a lot of people, like, I think that it is basically malpractice to play Magic pretty much any turn but 5, unless you're doing a specific Scorpion combo where it's like, okay, then you still want to play her as late as possible. Like what you'll see is like people will choose between Luna, Snow, and Magic, and they'll play Magic first. And it's like you never do that. You play
Yeah.
Magic as late as possible every single time, even in the Scorpion deck, right? Like if you have Luna Snow into Sarah or Luna Snow into Blink, you do that, and then
Do
you
that.
play Magic on 5, right? Like you do not give like you give your opponent as much time as possible to think, I should tempo out this Scarlet Witch. You give your opponent as much time as possible to think, I quick drew this Reality Stone. I should play it for a Thanos gun proc, right? Like you do not have the ability to give this information away for free. You just don't. And you need to be greedy with it because it will bite you if you're not. Couple other golden Gauntlet lessons. The first one is I saw Shadow King top 10 in bring rate, negative win rate, which is really impressive to me because Shadow King has been like just the absolute monster of the metagame for a while now. I think a lot of it is that people don't think you can play Shadow King and Thanos. I think you probably can, but it takes a little work to make it happen. You will have to give up a shot. Like it is the kind of thing that you'll have to do, but you can catch people by surprise, which has some value as well. I think a lot of his relatively low win rate is because people were playing him explicitly in non-Thanos decks, which are not very well thought out right now. So there is some like commingling of data sets here, which is to say Thanos did very well in the tournament. Shadow King did not. And I think a lot of the Shadow King decks were probably not Thanos decks, but still. I think that was an interesting takeaway. The second interesting takeaway that I had was, and this is less interesting, actually, I'll be fully honest with you. Stop putting Shang-Chi in your decks. Stop it. Stop it. It's not 2024. Stop doing it. Stop bringing this card. He's always top 10 in bring rate. He's never good. Take him out. Run literally any other card. Play Warpath. Probably better.
Remember how Shang-Chi used to be top bring rate and top like win rate card as well? That was really long time ago. Yeah, those were the days, man. Shang-Chi Devil Dinosaur game. But like anyway. Yeah, so the thing about Shadow King that you mentioned is actually pretty cool because we talked about earlier about like quick draw being incentivizing you to just play out all your cards because you want to get all the shots in, right? Shadow King is definitely a card worth missing a shot for. I don't know how that's supposed to sound, but like Shadow King is definitely a card worth missing a shot for because he himself is multiple shots at winning the game if you think about it that way, right? So I think I like that point about like actually if you really do want to play tag cards in Thanos, the Shadow King actually does fit more than people think. That's what I would like to say.
If you, in the immortal words of LMFAO, shots, 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 shots. Not everybody. You don't need actually everybody. You could do 5 instead of 6. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. I've been KMBest. He's been Lambie Series. He's about to take us out.
All right, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.